Hello, everyone, and welcome to a special bonus edition of Post Puroresu here at postwrestling.com. My name is WH Park, and this is kind of a new idea I thought I'd try to do a second episode of Post Puroresu every month. Of course, the main episode will be the one I do with John Pollock, and then I'll get a rotating guest of a co-host with me every month to do a second show, the second week after 2 weeks after the show I do with John. So here we are. This is our first attempt at this, and joining me today, my first co-host in this special spot is a name and a voice familiar to many people who listen to Post Puroresu, and it's the Mud Show outlaw himself, Joey Bay.
Hey WH, how you doing?
I'm good. Yoroshiku onegaishimasu.
Yoroshiku onegaishimasu.
Yes.
We already do it better than the English commentary team in New Japan. Well, besides Chris, of course.
Well, and there's no slander against Chris, but I do think Chris tries to maintain his British accent when he speaks Japanese, whereas I try to affect my Japanese accent.
I'm nowhere near that level yet.
No, I thought you said yoroshiku onegaishimasu pretty well.
Thank you.
Genki desu ka?
Genki desu. Genki desu ka?
まあちょっとね、私の仕事は忙しいです。
はい、忙しいですね。
大変ですね。So, anyways, people are like wondering what the fuck we're talking about, but I just said work has been busy, so it's been tiring.
Yes.
So you too?
Yeah, it's been crazy.
なるほど. So, anyways, there's your free Japanese lesson, everyone. You should be thanking me and Joey here for providing such great service to all of you out there listening to Post Puroresu bonus here. But Joey, we're going to be talking about quite a few topics that things that have happened since the last time I did a show, which was with John, which was about 2 weeks ago. And how have you been keeping up with your wrestling?
Oh man, it's been tough lately, but honestly, at my core, I am a completionist. So when I throw on a random show, it doesn't even matter if I care. I have to start at the beginning. But I've been trying to stray away from that method recently and just stick with the key matches on cards and then look around for, opinions of those that I respect and, out on Twitter or yourself or the Spirit or B. McCooley. He's a good shout, or Alan or the Voices of Wrestling guys, of course, to clue me in on anything else that I might miss. But yeah, it's pretty much just, watching the key matches from every day, especially like the New Japan Cup. You're not missing much on those undercards. You just skip right ahead to the main matches and just stop wasting your time, essentially.
I feel I'm less angry about New Japan if I just skip the undercard and just watch the main event matches, or for the New Japan Cup, I just watched. I didn't even watch all the cup matches, to be honest with you. I didn't bother with it's Toru Yano versus so and so. No, not like that. I'm not. What was it? Was it Toru Yano versus Evil or something?
I remember Yano and Fale was round one, and then
no.
And then I think you're right. The next round was Evil and Yano. Yeah,
I have no need to watch anything with Yano and Fale or fucking Evil. So I just thought to myself, for my sanity, and I have to watch this stuff, but I can't watch the whole show. There's no point, because there's nothing that's going to happen that's interesting or worth talking about on the undercard for the most part, So, and there's shows out there that are exclusively talking about New Japan that can cover that way better than I can.
Definitely.
So we'll leave it to those shows. They do a way better job, and they're welcome to cover entire cards of New Japan shows, I'm not going to do that. But to be fair, I'm the same way with like Pro Wrestling Noah, and I can be that way for a lot of All Japan recently. So I just get to the main matches for a lot of shows now. It saves my sanity, and I don't really have the time or the willpower to stay like to focus 3 hours on a single company's wrestling show.
Yeah, there's just too much at this point. I mean, I hate to be that person because I never thought I'd be that person, but the backlogs can only grow to a certain extent until you just have to abandon ship and just, pick and choose what you're watching. There's some people out there that are crazy and, I commend them for the work that they do and the viewing that they do, but you have to be like a specific type of person to really just be a catch-all for all wrestling.
Yeah, I think you have to have a much stronger passion for it than I have anymore. I still love it and I still like talking about it and watching it, but I just have other hobbies and things I'd rather watch than like 3 hours of like a New Japan show anymore. Yeah. So
I need to rewatch The Office for like the 18th or 19th time. So
that's why you told me you got Peacock, right? Not for the WWE, because this is way before the WWE network was migrating over there.
Yeah, I'm a day one subscriber to Peacock. As soon as The Office left Netflix and went to Peacock, I'm like, dude, I got to go to the Peacock because they got all the bloopers, they got extended episodes, all the deleted scenes and whatnot. So yeah,
so basically they have like the entire DVD collection then on the Peacock network.
Yeah, and my hopes are they put up, not to stray away from wrestling talk for too long, but they put up extended cuts with 5 extra minutes added to every episode of season 3 of The Office. And it's stuff that like wasn't edited in like deleted scenes or anything. It was like actual stuff that I'd never seen before. So that was just worth it for that alone. And then, the WWE network coming over is just, honestly, seeing what everybody on Twitter's been saying. I haven't looked into it yet, but it seems like a dumpster fire. I mean, we're losing a lot of stuff, good and bad.
Yeah.
But
well, I mean, I'm in Canada, so.
Yeah.
So, like I'm going to reveal something, if you don't mind, is that when you signed up for Peacock, so basically because of like, sometime last year, I lost my job in Japan. And so like, I thought I got to cut some expenses. So I said, well, I'm going to cut, and New Japan wasn't running. So I thought I'm going to cut my New Japan World subscription. And then I contacted you and I said, I'm going to do this. And you're like, oh, you can use my login. And so I was using your login, and then you signed up for the Peacock network. And then I was like, oh, your login doesn't work anymore.
Interesting. Was this recently then, or
no? But like I mean, like for the New Japan World, because like you canceled it, right?
Oh yes. But you said Peacock, so I.
Well, for Peacock, so I'm in Canada, so I think I still have access to everything through your WWE network.
Oh, that's awesome!
Like, because you gave me your login for the WWE network. I don't care if like they hear this. Fuck you, WWE. You're not getting any fucking blood money from me, anyways. But like, I think I probably like. If I wanted to watch all the problematic racist bullshit that exists in the entirety of the history of the WWE, not that I want to, but if I had to for research purposes, I could probably still do that. Like Roddy Piper made probably a lot of things with Hulk Hogan, things like that. Yeah,
WrestleMania 6 with the half black face and everything. Yeah. No, honestly, I do enjoy the WWE network. I'm one of those people. I grew up in the 90s, early 2000s is my like wheelhouse for Raw and SmackDowns and stuff. So some nights I'll just throw on a random Raw or SmackDown, and not being able to do that now is pretty frustrating. But I think I'll make it through this hard time. I think I'll be okay in the long run.
Just do VPN.
Yeah, that's true. I just don't know how that works through like. I'm not savvy enough to like rig up my Rokus and things of that nature with a VPN.
I think there's like tutorials out there on the internet, on YouTube and stuff like that.
I'll have to look into it.
Listen, if you're listening to this and you know how to do this shit, give Joey a message over on fucking Twitter there. All right. Like you can find him through me. All right. He's going to throw out his Twitter handle. If you know how the fuck to figure this shit out, send a message to Joey and like give him a tutorial. All right, work him through this shit. Hey, we are providing a service to these listeners. If they know how to help set up a VPN so you can watch all the problematic bullshit of the last 50 years of the WWE network, why not? Why not?
Well, I appreciate anybody who reaches out with any tips or tutorials. So thank you in advance.
but we're not here to talk about this. Is post Perez, not post problematic. So we're gonna move back to Japan.
So we're gonna talk about the Will Ospreay, the Priestley.
Well, we're gonna talk about that. But first, I just want to get your overall thoughts about the New Japan Cup. What did you think of it as a tournament as a whole?
I honestly felt reinvigorated in terms of my enjoyment of New Japan, just like solely watching the tournament matches, like we said. I just, even with the clap crowds, I just had a blast following this tournament. Like you, I did skip one day, the day one matches for I think it was Jay White and Hinare, and then whoever else was on that day. I skipped that show. Everything else I watched through and thoroughly enjoyed, honestly. Like I thought it was a fun tournament to keep up with.
Let me give you I didn't watch that match either, but I can pretty much guess what happened. Jay White went to the outside for several minutes, a couple of times. Geto distracted Hinare. There may or may not have been a ball shot. That may or may not have happened. I don't know if he would bust that out for Hinare. And then there was an extended reversal sequence. And then, Jay White hit the fucking Blade Runner and pinned poor Hinare. There you go. I just saved you, 15 minutes of your life that you'll never get back.
Then I'll just have to believe you because I'm never going to go back and actually watch it. But on the topic of Jay White, I did enjoy his run, and then even the just the main event 6-man tags that he was in on the last few nights. I'm usually kind of in line with your thinking of just, he's very patterned. But I've really thought he stepped up the personality bit of his character throughout this tournament. And I really enjoyed him, the pinch in the fat of Tanahashi's belly to kind of show off that, he's in better shape and just little things like that. And talking and how he kind of manipulates the crowd throughout matches. I just, I don't know. I enjoyed it this time around for whatever reason.
I think I'll probably start enjoying Jay White's matches when he becomes a babyface.
Yeah. I mean, young Lion Jay White was incredible. So it's only a matter of time.
I just feel New Japan doesn't know how their way of presenting heels is through a filter of Geto, this is his image instead of this is what I imagine a heel is like. But it's it's what am I trying to think of? It's if you went to Japan and said, make a Bugs Bunny cartoon. I don't think they could do a faithful recreation of Bugs Bunny cartoon. They would have to make it like a Japanese anime. You know what I mean? And it's their own version, but I don't think it would be exactly what you would be expecting. Do you know what I mean? So I feel that way with heels. It's not just Jay White. I feel that way with Evil. I feel that way with Ospreay as a heel as well. So it's weird, but I'll share the sentiment that I've been very down on New Japan, but I felt the New Japan Cup, especially the start and the middle, and was really invigorated my interest back into the company, and especially the run that Shingo Takagi had. And I just think he's the best wrestler in all of Japan and maybe in the entire world in 2021.
Yeah. The guy's incredible. I mean, not to step on friend of the show, Case Lowe's foot, but he really is up there with one of the greatest in-ring wrestlers of all time. I mean, he hits on every level, and he has been since, the first time I saw Shingo wrestle live was 2007 at a Ring of Honor show in Chicago against Takeshi Morishima. And I had seen his work on his excursion prior to that match. I think that was actually his last match in the States before he went back to Dragon Gate. But seeing that in person, ever since then, I've just been, I can't say a bad thing about Shingo. And if you can, you're wrong. Objectively, he's incredible.
Well, it's like someone saying to me, Jumbo Tsuruta wasn't really a good wrestler. Like, you're objectively stupid if you think that. Okay, like if you want to tell me, like, you can debate the merits of someone like, I don't know, like Masahiro Chono or. Sure. Like Riki Choshu, sure, okay. But if you say to me, Jumbo Tsuruta wasn't really that good of a wrestler, you're out of your mind. Like same thing with Shingo Takagi. Shingo Takagi, I agree with you. Case Lowe and Alan Cunahan, of course. Like Shingo Takagi is one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, and I think he's my leading candidate for Wrestler of the Year for 2021. Like we'll see what happens, come November, December. But like I really was engrossed with like his run throughout this tournament. I was really, really hoping that he would win. But at some point, I think, like, as I saw that it was probably going to be Ospreay in the finals, and I just thought about this more and more. I thought, you know what? It should be Ospreay who wins the New Japan Cup and challenges at Sakura Genesis, because I think you save Ibushi Takagi for Wrestle Kingdom next January, because I feel like the way New Japan is being booked right now, like it's either going to be Ibushi against either Takagi or Tanahashi in the Dome. Like there's two separate storylines you could dovetail into that event, with Ibushi still retaining as the champion.
Totally. Yeah, I honestly would be okay with either, but yeah, I would be over the moon to see Shingo in a main event in the Tokyo Dome, especially against Ibushi. To my knowledge, I know they've met in some tags over the years, but have they ever had a singles, like a proper singles match against one another? It would have to have been like on like a DDT Dragon Gate like joint show, like one of those DDG shows from like 2008, 2009.
We're gonna have to get some confirmation from Case Lowe here, but I'm gonna or Alan Farrell, but I'm gonna say top of my head, I can't remember one, but like that doesn't mean anything. Like there's tons of stuff like I don't recall that have happened. So are you I can hear the click clacking. Are you looking it up?
Yeah, I'm cage matching it. I'm just curious
but while you're doing that, like I want to talk about the finals, and it was a pretty good match. I don't think it's the best Ospreay Takagi match. I think still the best of the Super Junior final is better. Like for me, like I deduct points when like there's interference and there's like plunder in matches like that don't need it. I didn't feel this needed it. Like you had the interference from B. Priestley, and you had the table spot, which looks spectacular. Don't get me wrong, but it's just like, do we need that? Why can't they just have a match? Like I know Ospreay's a heel now, but to me, it's like I rather go back to the more pure match of like their first meeting in the best of the Super Juniors finals. And so to me, if I was going to compare like both those matches, I liked the earlier one more than the New Japan Cup final.
Sure. Yeah. I also like, I could honestly interchange the G1 match from last year and this New Japan Cup match. I do see where you're coming from with the outside interference that kind of like took away from it for me as well. But that finishing stretch was just chef's kiss. So good. Like that pumping bomber onto Ospreay, and then he backflips through it into an Os cutter. Like, I mean, you can't beat a sequence like that. That is very impressive, like athletically. Like, and I was like, whoa. But the more I thought about it, it's like that move makes no sense because it would still take the impact of the lariat. And yeah, it kind of, I feel it kind of bastardizes Shingo's like lariat. But the other thing is like that's a babyface move. Will Ospreay should not be doing these kinds of moves as if he wants to be like the top heel in the company. You know what I mean? Like the top heels in the company don't do like moves like that. Like Jay White, to his credit, doesn't do really spectacular moves as a heel. You know what I mean? When he becomes a babyface, I think that's when he's going to like really bust out the super athletic stuff. I think, his work as a heel is more geared towards being a character, right? And that, to some people that's great. To me, it's not. I don't find it very interesting. But to his credit, I'll give Jay White credit like that. But he doesn't work as a babyface. He's not still trying to impress you, totally. with athletic moves, and that's what Ospreay can't help himself. You can't tell Ospreay to not Ospreay.
Like it's anathema to him to not be able to do like something crazy or super athletic, because like that's who he is, even though it's detrimental to the direction he should be going in as a character and to his own position as a heel. But they had a close to 30-minute match, and it was good. Like we said our thoughts about it, but let's talk about the big topic that came out of this, which was the angle where Ospreay is challenging Ibushi, and he's saying, I love this being wrestling more than anything or anyone, including, and I want to be IWGP World Heavyweight Champion more than I want, more. And I love the idea of that, chasing that more than I love anyone. And then at that point, he gives the Oz Cutter or the RKO, looked more like an RKO to me, to B. Priestley, an unsuspecting, apparently, B. Priestley. And this just, shocked everyone. It had been spoiled for me. So I didn't know I knew this was coming. So I actually, the way people were talking about it, I was expecting like they did a beatdown on her or something like that. But thankfully it was just the Oz Cutter. But I say thankfully because like I was expecting a lot worse. That being said, I thought this whole angle was so unnecessary, out of context, tone deaf, and completely stupid.
Yeah, honestly, I think Ospreay, he could have been directed to do this, who knows, whatever. But I think the angle would have been 10 times more effective if he would have just said that line about the belt being more important to him than anything and anyone. And then he turns around and looks at Bia and just like, breaks up with her or just stares at her and tells Cobb and Okan to leave the ring with him, leaving Bea Priestley in the ring by herself, sad and melodramatic or whatever. And I think that would have gotten over the point that, he's breaking up with her. She's not going to be around anymore for whatever reason. And I think everybody would have understood what was going on. They didn't need to take the extra step and hit an RKO on his girlfriend to get over the fact that she's not going to be in the company anymore.
It came across as so WWE-ish, you know what I mean? And it comes across as like Attitude Era.
WWE from like the mid 2000s. It's not like current day WWE.
It just seems
like out of touch.
When any Japanese company, especially New Japan, tries to do things where they're trying to be like an American company, especially the WB of like 10, 15 years ago, I just find it's done terribly. Here's the other thing that I think is completely tone deaf. And this is like something where I'm going to place blame on both Ospreay and Priestley, is like, I don't know whose idea this was. Let's just for argument's sake, it's Ghetto's idea. Oh, let's put heat on this match with you and Ibushi. You're gonna, to put heat on it, we're gonna suggest that you really want to be the champion. So you're gonna give, Priestley the Oz Cutter. Here's the thing. Ospreay, while not accused of anything, directly in speaking out, his name is brought up so much because of the things like him, allegedly blacklisting Pollyanna, the female wrestler who allegedly was assaulted by one of his friends. Okay, so he has that going against him, and to the point, there's so much heat on him to the point where he stopped tweeting for a long, long time because he didn't want to deal with people like harassing him on social media, right? So to me, it's like, if you have that much heat on you because of like how you're perceived to treat women, why would you do what is essentially, and people might debate this with me or not, I don't care, what is essentially, in the context of how it's presented, a domestic violence angle, right? That's what it came across as. And I'm not the only one to use that phrase. And I'm just thinking, and why Priestley would say, yeah, we should do this, because like there's also heat on her for being a terrible person to other women in wrestling, in the British wrestling scene. I just don't know why, like, they think just because they're in Japan that they're not going to get heat for this, like with fans. And apparently it's not just Western fans that were upset about this. Apparently there's heat on them on this angle from people that they work with on the roster, the announcers, and Japanese wrestling fans who are online as well, that they did not like this. And like, there's talk about like, why did they do this? We don't want this in ProRes. We don't want this in Shingon ProRes. And I just think such a bad look and such a bad decision making on Ghetto's part, on the Japan office's part, and on Priestley and on Ospreay's part.
Yeah, I mean, and then it also kind of like this bad impression from this angle. It also made Jeff Cobb and Great O'Khan look like freaking dickheads too. Pardon my language, but like they're just standing out there while a woman just gets RKO'd. And like you said, I mean, like say whatever you want. Like, sure, at the beginning of this pandemic, Ospreay and Via had a match against each other in an empty arena, and they've had matches against each other in different circumstances or whatever. And they're just wrestlers. So at the end of the day, they know what they're doing. It's not like in reality anybody got hurt from this or, whatever, but it's the way that fans perceive it and take in this product and absorb it in their own brains, and then unfortunately and fortunately, people get to express their opinions on social media, and then you have a shitstorm on your hands.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just maybe this will be the last point we make about it is like when people bring up the fact that they've had matches against each other, intergender matches against each other. The context of that is that she's willingly participating. She's agreed to like fight him, like in an athletic contest. Yeah, with like physical combat contact. Okay, but like that's all like consensual. This was not like in the context of this angle. This is not consensual. He attacked her. You know what I mean?
Right.
He likes to refer to her as his missus. So like, she's his domestic partner. They live together. This is well known, right? So he attacked unknowingly and without consent. He attacked her, like that's the angle that they're presenting here. Of course, he didn't do this in real life. He's not abusing her in real life. Like, I hope not, I hope we never find out about it. Like, or like not that we don't find out about it. You know what I mean? Like that it's not happening, but that's the story and character that they're presenting to him about him. And I just think it's just, he doesn't need that. You just have the match. Like Ospreay versus Ibushi is enough to me.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, they've had matches before and they've all been pretty great. And like, I think they have enough history that you can draw upon this. And the context now that he's a heel, he's got, Cobb and O'Khan as his goons. Like, okay, that makes it change the dynamic of like this match that he's going to have with Ibushi for the title. There's also that. I mean, I don't think you needed to do this, but I mean, that's just my final thoughts about it.
Yeah, I'll leave it at that. I don't really have anything extra to say. I did want to point out, I'm embarrassed for us both that we didn't remember that Shingo and Kota Ibushi had a match in the G1 last year, and it got 4.5 stars from Dave Meltzer. And
I probably gave it 5, maybe 4.75. Probably I have to look back at my ratings for that. But yeah, dude, there's so much wrestling. I cannot. And there's so much. Here's the thing. There's so much good wrestling out there. There's so many like 4.5, 5 star matches out there that I see like in any given year that is just hard to remember. Like I can't remember things I watched like last month, let alone fucking last summer. Okay, so please forgive me. Please forgive me.
I'm glad I'm not the only one.
No. You watch a lot of wrestling, a lot more than I do. But this leads us to Kota Ibushi and Will Ospreay, and they will meet for the IWGP World Heavyweight title. We can talk a bit about that whole bullshit mess. At Sakura Genesis 2021, this is happening at Ryogoku Kokugi-kan, the Sweatbox on Sunday, April 4th. Door is 3:30 and bell time is 5 o'clock. It's all these new start times here, Joey, to battle the COVID in Tokyo, because like everyone has to go home after. We want people to be able to go home early and stay home, which they're not going to do, by the way. They're not going to go out drinking at izakaya and stuff like that. But I don't know. This is Sakura Genesis, but it feels like for the most part a Road 2 show. There's 2 title matches, and those are the only 2 matches I'm probably going to watch. Oh, X. United Empire is going to have an X in their 6-man tag against LIJ, Jeff Cobb, Great O'Khan, X taking on Shingo Takagi, Sonata, and Tetsuya Naito. Who do you think X is going to be, Joey?
I think the writing's on the wall that it's going to be Hinare, right?
That's who I think. Yeah,
that's like what everybody's kind of guessing, though. It's really kind of tough to think outside the box given COVID travel restrictions and things of that nature. But yeah, Hinare makes sense. I think he would round out that faction pretty well.
I think for me, like if it's Hinare, like I think would be really good is to make him and Cobb the tag team.
Yeah, just a powerhouse tag team. That would be awesome.
I think like visually they work better than Okan and Cobb do. I think Okan should be pushed more as a singles guy along with Ospreay, and and Cobb can be I don't think Cobb needs to be a single guy right now. I think he's been doing a great job as more aggressive heel. Like, so this is like very contrasting to my feelings of a Cobb like last year. Like mid-card Jeff, I'm actually quite enjoying like Cobb's participation on the undercards especially in a tag team with Okan. So like, I think Hanare would be even a better partner for him. So that like, if it's Hanare, I hope that it's something that they think about and putting, him and Cobb together and taking on people like, Juice and Finley and other tag teams in the division. I think it would be a real good shot in the arm to the tag division in New Japan.
Definitely. I really do think that's a good shout. Cobb and Ari it almost like fits too well that you almost think like maybe they'll throw a curveball and make it, Okan and Hinari a tag team. But yeah, like you said, I mean, Okan, like they clearly have big plans for him. And that the shoe fits. So
we'll see what happens. We'll find out who the dreaded X will be on at Security Genesis. But let's talk about the top two matches. We have an IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Championship match. The returning the reformed Roppongi 3K will take on the Suzuki Gun Tag Team Champions, the Junior Tag Team Champions of Yoshinobu Kanemaru and El Desperado, who also holds the IWGP Junior Heavyweight title. And I don't know, like I'm not really super excited about this. It's nice to see that Yo is back, but I smell an angle. I smell that maybe Yo's going to turn heel finally and break up Roppongi 3K, which is something I think that needs to happen, because I do think Yo and Sho should go their separate ways to become single stars.
So you think Yo will be the one that turns heel, though? I think Sho is a natural heel. I just think, and then Yo, like obviously, I think he's more of just a natural babyface. But that's interesting.
I think of Yo as having more charisma than Sho Tanaka, and so like I think he would probably be able to pull off being a heel better than Sho. Like it'll be interesting to see. Like we'll see what happens here, but you and I both agree that there's probably going to be some kind of split between the two and some kind of heel turn between either of them.
It definitely seems that way. Or else, don't you think Sho would have like accompanied him when he came out and kind of like announced that he was returning, and that there's really been no kind of fanfare in that sense that I know of? But yeah, it just seems like it's second from the top on this bigger card. So yeah, I smell something fishy here.
Like I don't like. I mean, they could win the titles, because I do think you need to take the tag team titles off of Desperado because he is the singles champion.
Yeah, but I feel like there's other people on the roster that could do more and could benefit more from becoming the junior tag champs more than Roppongi 3K again.
Yeah.
A nice little junior feud.
Yeah, you could do that down the line. I don't even know who other junior tag teams would be in this company right now.
That's true.
They really neglect like the junior division as a whole and the tag team division specifically, in my opinion. But we'll see what happens. But like I think we're going to see a big angle coming out of this for sure. But let's talk about the main event. IWGP World Heavyweight Championship match. Kota Ibushi taking on 2021 New Japan Cup winner Will Ospreay. I don't think Ibushi's losing the belt. I think he's going to retain. I think it'll be a spectacular match. I think Priestley's going to show up and because apparently her match on the Stardom show is like really early in the day, and then she's gonna. And if I don't know if it's in Tokyo or not, that Stardom show, but then if it is, she just like hop and a skip over to Sumo Hall, and she can be part of the match and like. Oh, I'm with you, Ibushi. And then she turns on him, nut shot, whatever, and then, it was all, we fooled you.
Yeah, I hope that's not what happens. But yeah, I think the show's in Yokohama. I remember hearing about that, she could get on an express train from Yokohama over to Ryogoku really quick and cause a stir. That'd be really interesting, but I really do hope it's just a straight up Kota Ibushi Will Ospreay match.
As you well know, it's really not that far to, go from like Yokohama to Tokyo. Like if you have like, let's say you have a 2-hour window, you time it perfectly, like, getting to the Shinkansen station from Shin Yokohama station, and you go to, not Shingo, you probably go straight to Tokyo station and then catch the Yamanote line to, you have to take this. I forget which line.
We're figuring out the train schedule.
Anyways, we don't have time for that shit. But anyways, you could do it. You could do it within a 90-minute window. Like if she has that much time. It's
definitely possible. Yeah, Matt and I have done it before together, and I know you've done it probably several times. So Matt McEwen, that is our another friend of the show.
Yes, the man who likes to cause trouble with many people on the Bluebird app that we are part of. But one of our dear friends, you and I, our mutual friend, I love when he causes shit on Twitter. That's just an aside here. Makes me laugh, anyways. But yeah, that's Secret Genesis 2-match show, basically. Like, I'm not counting X to be like any kind of a draw. I think it'll be Hanare, and we'll see what happens with there. But let's continue with the New Japan scheduled here, Joey. Let's talk about, May, a couple of months later, a month later, we have Wrestle Grand Slam in Yokohama Stadium, Saturday, May 15th. In Kanagawa at the Yokohama Stadium. This is a baseball stadium. I don't know the exact seating of it, but obviously it's restricted seating with COVID still a factor in Tokyo, but in Japan at large. But like they have this show in a baseball stadium, and then that's May 15th, and then let me just check my schedule here, and then on Saturday, May 29th, which is 2 weeks later, Wrestle Grand Slam in the Tokyo Dome. Why? Like, when I heard this, I talked about this with John. Why? Why are they doing this? I don't understand. This makes no sense.
WH, you're forgetting that before we get there, after Sakura Genesis, we also have 2 nights in Fukuoka for Wrestling Dontaku, which are historically pretty big shows themselves. So
they're not going to be big shows, Joey. Like, what are they going to put in the main events of these shows? Like,
you're right. Yeah. Sakura Genesis is a 2-match show. These will probably be, they'll probably throw one title match on both of the Wrestling Dontakus and then load up these Yokohama shows.
Or Yokohama. Yeah. So for me, I think this is where I think this is, if you're going to do Tanahashi Ibushi for Tanahashi to try to save the lineage of the heavyweight title and the IC title, this is where you do it. You do it at the Tokyo Dome. Because if you're gonna save Takagi, I firmly believe you should save Takagi. You should build up. He should win the G1, and he should go on to challenge at Wrestle Kingdom. Because I really think he has so much momentum from like the beginning of this year and through. Even though he lost in Japan Cup, that didn't hurt him at all. I think you do Tanahashi at a grand, what the fuck's it thing called again? Grand Slam in Tokyo Dome. Yeah. Fuck. There's so many of these shows. You do that. Yeah. That's the only thing that I can think with him and Ibushi, Tanahashi Ibushi for the title, with the caveat that he's going to try to save these things from being unified into one belt. And maybe that's the other thing. Like they're going to tease, we're going to debut the new belt at this show, at the end of this show. Like I don't think you do it at the Yokohama show. You do it at the Tokyo Dome. But that's the draw to try to get people to buy tickets for that show. And then you save Wrestle Kingdom, next January for Takagi. And I think built well. And like, if he has more momentum going into that from winning the G1, then you can have a pretty decent attendance. And who knows, maybe, you can have full attendance. I doubt that that's going to happen, because I was talking to some friends in Japan, and they're like, what's the situation with the vaccine in Canada, WH? And I'm like, maybe I can get it by the end of the summer or early fall, maybe. And they're like, we have no idea when we're getting the vaccine. We don't know like when the general public is going to be able to like start getting vaccinated in Japan. And I'm like, oh, really? So like, who knows when, if and when that's going to happen anytime this year.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. I know they've only opened it up to seniors and people with high risk or health issues over in Japan. Isn't that right? Or it seems like America's really just like unrolling all of these vaccines.
Well, I mean, seniors and people with high risk of catching COVID or having serious complications for catching COVID aren't necessarily who's going to be going to watch wrestling at the Tokyo Dome. Right? So, yeah, we'll see what happens with hopefully things pick up in Japan and here in Canada. Like, I'm sorry, a little selfish here. I hope I get the vaccine before anyone in Japan does. But I don't understand like why you would have a schedule like this. Like, obviously they must be getting some kind of a deal.
Oh, for rent.
Sure. But even then, like, you're just kind of like wasting like potential main events that you should be saving throughout the rest of your regular schedule. I really think even without like, like if you still have full capacity at shows, this is like a really bad schedule to have, because the last time they started doing multiple, Tokyo Dome shows in a single calendar year, Joey, this is like the start of like, this was like when the start of their decline, business wise and creatively, the rise of Enochiism in New Japan. And nobody wants to see that again. Nobody, except for the crazy people who I ignore on Twitter.
And those crazy people are probably watching Kaz Fujita beat Keno in Noah.
Thinking it's great.
Probably. What's that?
And thinking it's great. We'll get to that. We'll get to that topic down the line. We'll save that one. Yeah.
I don't really know. It really has to be just them getting good deals on these buildings, because that's really the only way it makes sense. Like they can only sell X amount of tickets, and I think any size venue, the cap on attendance is still 5,000 until Japan or Tokyo either recently or they're fixing to uplift the state of emergency relatively soon. So I don't know if that affects the crowd size numbers or anything like that. But even still, like, I think back to the Yoyogi baseball stadium show last summer, and I'm sure they'll have a similar setup for the Yokohama show. There's only 4,000 people at that venue last year, and it was a 50 or 40,000 seat stadium. So, I mean, the optics were what they were, but I mean, you can only fit so many people in there per the protocols. But I don't understand why they would double up with like 2 weeks with these big stadium shows with COVID, with nothing really hot going on in the company right now. It just doesn't really make too much sense.
They ran Budokan, and they were outdrawn by both Noah and by their sister company in Stardom. And rightfully so, because like I think both those shows had better cards and more interesting like main events. So you can talk about Shiozaki versus Muda all you want, but like at the same time, it's like there was interest in that, like far more interesting than like I like Desperado, but more interesting than Desperado versus Ibushi in a match he wasn't going to win. I said like, hey, if Despy won that, I would take back every negative thing I said about New Japan this year. It didn't, so I'm going to still I stand by everything negative I said about the company, and will continue to say negative things that the bad things that the company is doing. But yeah, we'll see what happens. I don't think these shows are going to do well. We'll monitor that situation and talk about it at postwrestling.com. Joey, let's move over to from Shinihan Perez to Zen Nihon Perez. We're going to talk about All Japan Pro Wrestling, and they had a very interesting show recently. They had I believe it was a one match show, a one match card, right?
Yes.
In Shinkiba First Ring, which is funny to me, and it was for the ugly looking Gara TV Championship. This is one of the ugliest championship belts I've ever seen in all of professional wrestling, Joey. I don't know how you feel about this title belt.
I mean, I don't have a very high opinion of it. It really has never been on my radar until Jun Kasai won it last year, and it was either earlier this year or like late last year, but it's usually just lower mid card, just filler stuff. So I mean, at least they're doing something interesting now. But yeah, this was beyond interesting to the point that, it upset quite a few All Japan purists, which I don't classify myself as, but yeah, there's a straight up death match in All Japan Pro Wrestling last week, which is pretty mind blowing.
I haven't watched it, to be honest with you. I don't pay attention to Gyro TV matches. I don't have anything against Jun Kasai, but he does nothing for me. So I didn't know this match has happened. And then like I saw something in a news update and I was like, oh, and here's Shuji Ishikawa holding the title. His head's all bloodied up. And like, for the people who don't know, Shuji Ishikawa was for a long time before he joined All Japan Pro Wrestling. He was a deathmatch wrestler and he's returned to his roots here. And like, I am an All Japan purist. Obviously I do a show that talks about the pure aspects of All Japan Pro Wrestling. And this is something Giant Baba would never have had on his shows, I think. And yeah, I don't think it has anything. It belongs anywhere near an All Japan show. And I don't like any of to be honest, I don't like any of the sports entertainment bullshit they do either. So like, you're chalk up to something else that I don't like seeing in a company I love. And that's like, the influence of Shuji Ishikawa and the influence of, Tajiri. Like both those guys, apparently they kind of one or the other used to be the booker, is the booker now. I'm not exactly sure. I think Tajiri is the current booker. They can all fuck off for all I care. Jude Akiyama, please come back and save this company.
Yeah. As someone who did watch the match, I can assure you that there was not a death match on the All Japan, the classic blue All Japan canvas that they use from pretty much all their shows. They used a blank white canvas for this match. So for those of you that can't get that picture out of your head, don't worry, it didn't actually happen if you didn't happen to watch it. But yeah, it was what you'd come to expect from a death match between Jun Kasai and Shuji Ishikawa.
Well, let me ask you, did you enjoy it?
Yeah, it was a fun match. I'm not going to say it was, my favorite death match or anything like that, but Ishikawa came out with his old style pleather baggy pants, the old shindy look, all white though. This time he dyed his hair like white blonde, so he'd get the red color in it. Once he was bleeding, and there was panes of glass, there was ladders, light tubes, skewers, everything you'd come to expect from a match between these two. Just I know it's probably upsetting to some people, but it was fine. But not must see by any means, even if you're a deathmatch connoisseur like myself.
Like nowadays, like nothing Ishikawa does is must see, unfortunately.
Oh
no, it's not. Like he's lost his stuff. I think Suwama's a way better worker than him now.
Yeah. No, I would agree. He's definitely, he's either lost a step or he's just not as motivated as he used to be. Because I mean, in terms of physique, I think he looks better than he's ever looked. But in ring, he's just a little bit slower, or just not as into it as he once was. But this match, he was taking all the bumps. He took a bump off the ladder through a pane of glass. So if that's your thing,
as you well know, Joey, it's not my thing. But in other news, Suwama had a successful defense, thank God, against fucking Yoshi fucking Tatsu, fucking Mr. Boring himself. Like, you know what? Like up to the lead up to this match, this Triple Crown title match between Suwama and Yoshitatsu. Yoshitatsu said, I want to win the Triple Crown so we can get, so more people will subscribe to All Japan TV. And I tweeted out, the only way more people will subscribe to All Japan TV is if you're not fucking on it anymore.
Yeah, that's somebody who thinks the reach is quite a bit further than it actually is.
Yes. He
WWE old WWE jobber now challenging for the freaking Triple Crown.
And if I'm the Triple Crown champion, more people will subscribe to the streaming service. Quite the opposite, Yoshitatsu. Please just fucking leave. Go to like the fucking slimy indies that only Joey will watch. So I don't have to watch you anymore. Anyways, But he had a successful defense, and then he went to Suwama. That is, went to visit the dojo of one Nagoya Ogawa, who was very famous for shooting on Shinya Hashimoto and being in Hustle and all that stuff. And him and Suwama ran an angle before in December, and there's talk that Suwama might have a Triple Crown defense against Ogawa in Sumo Hall. And God, I hope this doesn't happen.
You're not into it. Oh, that was a question. You're not into it?
Oh, sorry. I muted myself to clear my throat. No, I hate Ogawa. I think he's absolute fucking shit.
Okay. Why do you think? Why do you think they could, draw that large of a crowd that this could happen in Sumo Hall?
I don't.
Just egos?
I think they're delusional. I think the people who run All Japan right now, whoever, if it's Ishikawa or Tajiri or who, and the president of the company, I think they're delusional. I think they're out to lunch if they think any of this shit that they're doing recently is going to make a single difference. It's not. Like, I do think at some point, like I don't hate Suwama's title reign. I think he tries really hard. Every match he has defending that title, I think he tries really hard to have a good match. And usually I end up enjoying his matches when he's defending the title. But like at some point he has to lose it. And, my hope is that he's going to lose it to Jake Lee, who just turned heel. He turned against Koji Iwamoto. He left. He's basically disbanded Jin, the faction that he was in. And like at the same time, Shitaro Shino's faction, Enfant Terrible, they turned on him and they joined up with Jake because they were tired of how Ashino was being booked by Tajiri and Ishikawa as a loser. So they were like, fuck this. We're going to be with Jake because he's on the upward trajectory in All Japan. And they formed a new group called Total Eclipse. And I absolutely fucking love this group. I love Jake's new look. He looks like Shinsuke Nakamura. And I like the new attitude. I think this is the thing that Jake fucking needed to reach the next level, to be on the Miyahara level.
Yeah, no, it really kind of sets him apart. Whereas he was just kind of just really flat personality wise, where this kind of gives him that extra edge. Because in like work wise inside the ring, Jake is freaking awesome. Like, I think he's up there. Like, he's just as good as Miyahara, in my opinion. But yeah, this new character arc is really exciting to follow, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with them. I really like. I can't see anybody else coming out of the Champion Carnival winning besides him.
And the way you rehabilitate like Ashino is, okay, Jake, the Triple Crown champion, and he's like a dominant champion. I think he should have the title for like at least 6 months and have like, have a defense every month. I think you build up Ashino to challenge him for that. And like this is how you rehabilitate Ashino, is like he challenges Jake and he beats him for that title and he becomes the Triple Crown champion, because that's what All Japan needs. They need several people to join, Miyahara in that upper echelon. And like Miyahara is perfectly fine as the tag team champions with Aoyagi. I think that they just hold those titles for a year and have their title offenses have so far all been very enjoyable. And I think that's great position for Miyahara to be in. It keeps him out of the Triple Crown picture, and it really elevates the tag team titles.
Yeah, that's a good shout. The tag title match, who was it last month? It was against Zeus and Irie.
Yeah,
at Korakuen. That match was really fun. It kind of went under the radar for a lot of people, but if you haven't seen it, definitely seek it out. But yeah, there's several directions they can go, and I don't know. There's only so long you can just sit around and wait for Naoya Nomura to come back, if he ever does come back. I hope he does, but he was right there too. But yeah, you got to start elevating these other guys to make the main event scene more interesting. Yeah.
And then, if Jake's a Triple Crown champion, then you can have Aoyagi. He can still be, Miyahara's partner, but he can challenge for that. And I think him and Jake, that's a fresh matchup. And I think, being being part of the tag team champions with Miyahara is going to really help Aoyagi elevate to another level. And but you need to have him start, mixing it with Ashino and Suwama again.
For sure.
But definitely with this new version of Jake Lee.
Yeah, definitely. On the topic of All Japan, have you watched any of Shima's title defenses? I know he had one against Izanagi on that same show.
Yeah, I watched that match and thought it was okay. I don't know. Maybe I think Shima's kind of lost a step, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
I'm hoping, Sato takes. I mean, not that Sato's a fresh champion for the junior title, but I do think with Shima going to be part of GLEAT, great,
yeah,
however you want to pronounce it, with the Strong Hearts, that maybe it's something that they need to think about, is taking that title off of him. And we'll get to GLEAT in a second, but yeah, I'm not super excited. I thought it was interesting that he won the title, but then I'm just I have yet to see anything that's impressed me to where I'm going to get excited by any upcoming matches that he has.
Definitely. Yeah, no, I was really excited at the end of last year. They'd had the fan appreciation Korakuen show, and Shima he was a part of the 6-man main event. And after the match, he of course kind of strong armed himself into cutting a post-match promo. And based off of my broken Japanese, he was mentioning how, Strong Hearts was coming to All Japan this year and all that. And we really haven't seen that. And then the announcement of GLEAT and Strong Hearts going there kind of throws a wrench in that kind of plan. But I really would have enjoyed Lindemann and T-Hawk chumming it up with some of the All Japan roster. I think that would have added some extra life into those shows, but it doesn't seem like that's going to happen. However, Shima's still the champion. He retained, and I don't know where they're going. He left the ring and he was promoting GLEAT or GREAT, however you want to say it. So it's are you staying around in All Japan too? I know you show up in DDT from time to time. Or are you going to, once GLEAT starts, are you just, all hands on deck, just going straight to that promotion, and there's no more having fun in All Japan and DDT and all the other indies and that you work?
Well, first of all, let's just settle on a parenthesis. We'll just call it GLEAT.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
Just call it GLEAT. I think it seems like GLEAT is wanting to reach out and work with other promotions, even though they are signing people to contracts to be permanent, contracted members of their roster. That they're going to do a show with Taka Michinoku's JTO, Just Tap Out promotion. Yep. I think they're going to probably do some shows with Big Japan still. They'll probably do some stuff with DDT still, and probably with All Japan, especially if Shima's still the All Japan junior heavyweight champion. So yeah, I think we're gonna hear more about GLEAT. We're gonna talk about GLEAT. Let me just talk a bit on as a way to exit out of the All Japan talk. Let's talk about the upcoming. No, not at all. We'll talk about the All Japan Champions Carnival. It's going to run from Monday, May. It starts on, when does it start? It starts on April 9th. Friday, April 9th. Sorry. My, if you can tell, my voice is kind of going right now, so I'm just trying to keep it up here. I got a bit of a frog in my throat here. I apologize, everyone. And then it's going to run until May 3rd. It's 10 shows. It's a one block tournament. And let's talk about the participants in this. It's a one block tournament. It's Suwama, Zeus, Miyahara, Ishikawa, Jake Lee, Yuma Aoyagi, Shotaro Shino, and Koji Doi's first appearance, Kohei Sato, first appearance, and I'm so excited about this, Joey. Shinjiro Otani, first appearance. And I think this is a great tournament.
Yeah, that's a great lineup. I mean, there's just so many fresh matchups. I know you and John kind of ran over this lineup on the last episode. But yeah, I mean, I haven't been too exposed to Koji Doi before his him showing up in All Japan. But every time I see him, I know most people are kind of lukewarm on him, but I don't know. I enjoy the guy for whatever reason. And then, just throwing Otani in there with all these guys is just so awesome. Like, I'm sure him and Aoyagi is just going to rip. I mean, that I can see those two having like great chemistry.
Do you have a prediction for the finals and the winner?
Well, Jake Lee, we already said, but in terms of the final, could it be Jake Lee and Ashino, and then Jake Lee beats him, and then
I think it's going to be Ishikawa in the finals, and Jake Lee's going to beat him in the finals because, like, he is a former champion carnival winner. He's a former Triple Crown champion. I think he's Suwama's former partner, so I think there's a lot of benefit you could have. And like with big matches, Ishikawa does deliver usually. So definitely. I think him and Jay could have a really excellent match. If it's a really good match, and Jay comes out on top, continues the momentum that he's having, and then he challenges Suwama as being the champion carnival winner. So we'll see what happens. I think you and I are in agreement. It's going to be Jake Lee. I think it's probably going to be Ishikawa in the finals with him.
Yeah, I'll take that as a final any day, especially I know we were kind of harping on him, like you said, but yeah, if Ishikawa is motivated, I mean, he's willing to take a bump through a pane of glass for a crowd of like 130 in Shinkiba. So hopefully if he is in the finals against Jake Lee, he's willing to take some hard hits from the man. So
yeah, I don't think Ishikawa's not one to be shy about taking some hits to the head.
We might get some shoot headbutts.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
All right. So we talked about this promotion, GLEAT. Let's talk about some of the moves they've been doing. It's been pretty interesting seeing all the news coming about GLEAT. Let's see this update I have here. So GLEAT's Kaz Hayashi, Soma Watanabe, and Yu Iizuka will compete at Just Tap Out at one of their shows at Korakuen Hall. I don't know if it's already happened. Like, when was this update? This update was from March 18th. So it's already happened. I don't have the result, but I would imagine they won. Well, I'll have to check Cage Match later. But not only that, but what else happened with GLEAT? They signed a couple of people. They signed Strong Hearts, El Lindemann, Shima, T-Hawk. Did they sign the other guy whose name I always forget? The fourth guy?
Oh, I don't remember his name either. I know I have Takahiro Yamamura on the brain because I'm pretty sure he seconded Shima in his match in Kyoto, and he's like retired now because he like fractured his spine or something. But I can't remember the other guy's name. But he's like the one standout from the China stuff, isn't he?
I think so. I think he's one of the guys from OWE.
Zhao Jinja or whatever. Is that the one, or are we talking about?
I'm gonna find it. I'm sure as I get the information. But GLEAT's they're doing I've been watching some of the stuff on YouTube with the UWFI rules, and it's fun. I like the idea that they're gonna have traditional pro wrestling, but they're also gonna have worked shoot fights like UWF. And the other big name that they signed, well, I guess big name, I think it's a big name, is Big Japan Pro Wrestling's Ryuichi Kawakami, who I think has been wasted in Big Japan for years. So when I saw this news, I was like, yes, good. You don't use him well. He had the tag team titles finally for a month, and then he lost them in his first defense back to the Astronauts.
Yep.
I think Kikuta should go to join him in GLEAT as well. I think Kikuta would do really well in that kind of environment.
Yeah, Kikuta's awesome. I mean, he's really stepped up since probably, when was it? October. He had a singles match with Okabayashi at Korakuen Hall, and I mean, ever since then, he's kind of been more on my radar. But yeah, it is. As a Big Japan apologist, it is sad to see him go. But I mean, I think it's all in good nature. It seemed like there were pleasantries, shared between the two companies. And I think from what I read and from what I gathered, Big Japan was paid out for Kawakami's salary. So it's not like they're just totally came out and just swept him from under Big Japan's feet. So Eiji Tosaka actually got paid for giving up Kawakami. So
I mean, for people who don't know, so the parent company of GLEAT is LEAT, Entertainment, which was the parent company of Pro Wrestling Noah before they sold it to Cyber Agent, Cyber Fight, which is the parent company of DDT and Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling. So there's money. There's money in LEAT. Obviously, they're willing to get back into the wrestling game with the loss of Pro Wrestling Noah, with their own unique product, and with trying to sign people. Like, who knows? Maybe they're gonna take a look at I don't know, Akira Hyodo,
hey, come on now. Hey, cut it out.
Takuya Nomura.
Stop it.
Hey, why don't those three go?
Fuminori
Abe, he doesn't need to sign. He should just freelance, right? He doesn't want to sign anywhere. But I don't know, Kamitani, since they're putting these dudes in their fucking deathmatch division, which I don't want to see. Separate the young, strong division talent. Don't make them do death matches. Maybe they want to do it. I wouldn't let them. Stop it. So just go to GLEAT, guys. If you're listening, go to GLEAT.
Don't listen to WH.
But an upcoming match that we're going to see is so GLEAT is going to do another show with Just Tap Out, and this is going to be on April 11th. Soma Watanabe, Takanori Ito will take on Just Tap Out's Kanon and Ren Ayabe. I have no idea who these guys are. I've never seen Just Tap Out. So maybe they're going to, GLEAT is just doing all this stuff so they can talent raid Just Tap Out, maybe 2AW, maybe Big Japan Strong Division, that'd be great. And we're going to see another powerhouse promotion emerge in the next year or so with GLEAT. What do you think, Joey?
That'd be cool. And to be honest, you give me flack about the Big Japan stuff and getting raided, and hopefully Big Japan going out of business, and all the talented guys that you enjoy going to another company. Of course, I don't agree with you, but I have I've opened up my eyes and my heart to the possibility of that happening. I just hope it's there's also other struggling companies like 01 who still have a solid roster of guys, a core group of guys that I think if Big Japan and 01 and 2AW or just any of these, if two of these companies joined forces for more than just the occasional joint show, I think they'd be a healthier promotion as a whole. But I don't think we'll ever see that at least anytime soon.
No, I don't think so.
In the meantime, I do think that, if GLEAT wants to come in and raid some of, these underused talents in these companies, I have no problem with it. I think Kawakami, like you said, he was underused. I think anybody that watches Big Japan would agree with you. Besides this tag title run that lasted a month and a half, and if I believe they lost it on D1 against the Astronauts. They may have had one other defense in there, but I mean, Kawakami really just floundered the last year. He had one extremely good underrated match against T-Hawk in the Strong Climb tournament last year that if you haven't seen, search it out. It's incredible. They chop the crap out of each other, and it's loads of fun. But hey, that match isn't going to happen in Big Japan anytime soon, but it could very well happen in GLEAT. So
yeah, I mean that'd be awesome. I think you have T-Hawk, you have Kawakami, you have Takanori Ito. Takanori Ito is more kind of in the UWF, the shoot fighting division, but I think he can do both. And then you have Soma Watanabe, and I don't seem to think that they're having a clear division between heavyweights and juniors. I think it seems more like an open weight division, company as a whole. And hey, listen, if you made fucking El Lindemann your fucking world champion, I have nothing against that because I think El Lindemann is fucking awesome and so underutilized in wrestling.
He's incredible. He's so good.
I think he can legit German suplex even guys twice his size, to be honest with you.
Yeah, not only is he an incredible wrestler, he's just a little just ball of charisma too. He's so fun to watch. Did you watch that DDT show from I think it was Nagoya, where him and Yusuke Okada chased each other around the entire arena?
No, I haven't seen that. Here's another thing. I hope GLEAT takes Yusuke Okada from DDT. I don't think that'll happen because I think wherever Akiyama goes is where Okada's going to be. So, but I've on a side note, I've really enjoyed Yusuke Okada's like work in DDT. I'm not a huge DDT fan, and he had that match with Yuki Ueno, right? Like that, I thought was really, really good.
Yeah, they had two. They had the first one back in January in front of like 50 people at the KFC hall that they run the smaller house show type of shows, and they went like 30 minutes, and it was incredible. So that led to the Cork and Hall match a couple of weeks ago, and yeah, I agree. Like another match that if you haven't seen, it was just really just like technically great. Like Yuki Ueno is awesome, and Yusuke Okada. I mean, anytime he hits that just that like floating tilt-a-whirl DDT where he catches the guy and then like bounces off the rope, like where he kicks off kind of like Naito does. Dude, I think that's like one of my favorite spots in wrestling.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely someone to watch. Like, you know, I'm not a huge DDT fan, never have been, and like I'll watch Okada there, and I'll like, you know, with maybe through Okada, I'll you know, watch more of the type of wrestlers that I would like to watch, like Yuki Ueno and Takeshita and like Higuchi, people like that. But I just want to make a note of like to let people know like this is a pretty impressive roster that GLEAT's forming. So along with Kawakami, you have Daijiro Matsui, Kaz Hayashi, who's also the booker of the company, Minoru Tanaka, who still can go, Soma Watanabe, Takanori Ito, Yu Iizuka, who's like this really young, like big Rings fan who's like idol is like fucking Volkan. You can't get a better idol than that as far as like being a shoot fighter or work shoot fighter goes. And you know, Shima, El Lindemann, it's Issei Onizuka. He's the other member of Strong Hearts. Yeah. And T-Hawk. I think they're going to make more moves, probably, you know, more signings from other, you know, independents and things like that. So I'm very, very interested in GLEAT. And to me, it kind of reminds me a bit like, you know, Big Mouth Loud, Katsuyori Shibata's like promotion when he left New Japan several years ago. This is of course like, you know, after his first stint in New Japan, he's you know, firmly a New Japan guy again, and will be for probably the rest of his career. But he had started this company called Big Mouth Loud that I absolutely loved watching, even though it's kind of a dirty indie as well. But like a dirty indie I could get behind. But that's what GLEAT kind of gives me the vibes of is a Big Mouth Loud.
Yeah, they kind of have like their core guys, and I'm sure they're going to bring in, you know, names from other promotions to have like these kind of like one-offs that Big Mouth Loud used to have, like, you know, like Kojima would come in real quick for a couple matches or whatever. But, and by the way, if you want to watch any of the Big Mouth Loud stuff, I'm pretty sure like all of it or most of it at least is on YouTube for free. So
I have the entire history of Big Mouth Loud.
That's awesome.
On DVD.
That's awesome. So you don't even have to go to YouTube. You have it all saved and documented. And
it's gonna make its way to your home soon, I'm sure, Joey. I don't know how. I'm not admitting anything. I'm just saying I'm sure it's probably gonna end up, you know, copies of these DVDs may or may not end up at your house at some point.
Well, don't mail it, because apparently the mailing system is messed up, but that's for another topic another day.
Well, we can talk about that right now, because I'm going to get something off my chest about the United States Postal Service. You fucking suck. Slowpoke motherfuckers. Where's my goddamn comic book that Joey sent me?
Dude, I would love to know as well. I've been refreshing the tracking number for your book basically since you sent me the update last week, and I've been like, okay, that's messed up that it's not there yet, because I paid $20 for one small book. I think it weighed like 8 ounces, and it literally cost me $22 to ship this thing to you, and it hasn't updated in like 6 days. It must be on some courier van that's driving across country up to Canada or something. I don't know. And just taking the most indirect route. I have no idea, but I hope you know that I share your frustration. Like, I hate this.
I'm sure it'll show up. It's okay. Like, I'm sure it'll show up. As long as it shows up, that's all I care about. Like, it's okay. Anyways, but let's wrap things up with talk about Pro Wrestling Noah. And they've had some shows in the last couple of weeks. And, John and I talked about Keiji Muto defeating Kaito Kiyomiya. Why? I don't know. What did you think about that match? And what do you think about Muto being the champion in Noah?
I'm hand waving it all, honestly. Like, I love Muto, but all he's doing in there is embarrassing himself and his legacy. In my opinion, I understand why they think it was a good idea in theory, but obviously, like, played out, it's not good. Like, he can barely move. How is anybody watching this and thinking, oh, this is good pro wrestling in 2021? Like, the guy needs to just, like, do commentary, like all your other freaking contemporaries, like, just be done with what you're doing, man. Like, you can barely move. Like, I don't understand it.
His ego is obviously like very healthy. Yeah. And like, I was listening to Rewind to SmackDown, and one of the callers at the end of Rewind the review, I was asking about this, and they were asking John Way about why is this happening? Why is no one doing this? And like, I was just like in my head, like listening to this on my headphones, and I was just screaming because Nosawa is a fucking mark. Fucking Muto. That's the only thing you need to know about the situation, is that Nosawa Rangai, who is the booker of Pro Wrestling Noah, is a fucking mark. He's a mark for Muto. He's a mark for all these fucking Inoki fucking people, for IGF guys, fucking Fujita, fucking Kendo fucking Cashin, who all fucking stink, by the way. I will not hear anyone say, oh no, Fujita's actually good. I'll say this about Fujita. He actually had a match last week. Okay, he against Keno, who's the GHC national champion, who's going on a bit of a run, fighting all these like pseudo shoot fighters, like Kendo Kashin, like Minoru Fujita. Sorry, who? Again, what's his name? He's one of my
Masakatsu
Funaki. Funaki, great match, by the way. And I thought, okay, he's gonna fight Fujita. It would be better if he beats him. Like, just continue this, and then he can move on. But, Fujita, of course, he beat Keno for the GHC national title.
Okay, I have a question, WH. On the topic of Noah and I guess champions right now, would you rather watch a Kaz Fujita match in 2021, or would you rather watch a Keiji Muto match in 2021?
All right, so I'm gonna answer that question. I'm gonna answer it honestly. Because I will say this about that GHC national title match, that for the most part, 80% of it I thought was good.
Okay,
it's the 80%. It's the 80% where not where they're fucking staring at each other for 5 fucking minutes, but where they're like slapping the shit out of each other. Okay, if you have Fujita just slapping the shit out of each other, not doing any bullshit staring contest, all right, I can get behind that. I don't like him. I think he's sloppy. I think he's reckless. I think he's dangerous to the people he's in the ring with, like legit. Like, I think he doesn't care about his opponents.
No, it's obvious he does not care about his opponents.
So that's where where my dislike and distaste of him. Like, I get these fucking people, these fucking hipster bullshit idiots who like think, oh, that's what makes him awesome. It's like, fuck off. You want to see this guy hurt somebody for legit because he's reckless and careless? I don't. But like, I like, he penalty kicked fucking Kenoa for the finish of this match. And I thought,
he whiffed on the first one, and then he more than connected on that.
Jesus, I mean,
follow through on that second one.
And this is a recurring thing. It's like one thing to like, kind of be impressed by the finish of the GHC tag team title match where Kitamiya fucking shoot headbutt Sugiura to win the titles and knocked him out. Like, I don't agree with that, but I don't think Kitamiya is going to be doing that every fucking match. I think Fujita, if he could, he'd like PK kick and like try to knock out. In professional wrestling, it's a fucking work. Okay. Like, anyways, which one would I rather watch? For pure, like, non-embarrassment, I would watch Fujita more, because like, he's not embarrassing. But like, the thing is Muto's probably not going to hurt anyone except maybe himself.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the scary part of watching a Muto match at this point, is like, there is a very real possibility of him, his knees just shattering on impact, and just him like psycho sitting himself, like just everything just bending in the wrong direction. But I agree with you. I'd rather watch Kaz Fujita, as long as he he has to take these staring contests. That gimmick is just so terrible. I hate it. I honestly, I was not a fan of the Go Shiozaki stare down. And then going all the way back to the Tenryu retirement show, which I actually unearthed recently and watched it was Fujita and Daisuke Sekimoto against Suwama and Okabayashi. And that match started with Fujita and Suwama just staring each other down to the point where the crowd in Ryogoku turned on them and started chanting Dai Nihon. So they would tag in Sekimoto and Okabayashi. So of course I love that for multiple reasons, but I mean, the match was fun once the stare down ended, but it's just like, come on, like you're wasting time, you're wasting fans' time, you're killing the clock. It's egregious, but I digress.
The only person whose work I've liked from like this group of pseudo shoot fighters is Sakuraba. I think him and Sugiura had a really fun tag team. And I think he's performed really well because I don't think he's phoning it in. And I don't think I think he takes some pride in being a good wrestler and a good worker. I like, and again, like the only reason Fujita is champion, is the national champion, is because Nosawa is a fucking mark. And like, I'm sorry, like I think pretty much every booker in Japan fucking stinks. The only people who I think are probably good bookers is whoever's booking Dragon Gate and whoever's booking, and I guess it's Rossi Ogawa who's booking Stardom. Like I think those are, and I don't watch enough of the independent Joshi to make a comment one way or the other, but like from what I see from other people who talk about Joshi is that every fucking Joshi company is probably booked fucking better than New Japan, All Japan, and fucking Pro Wrestling Noah.
Yeah, I mean, it could just be they're waiting until full crowds can come back, and they're just in this weird holding pattern. But there are like, just in a sense, they're like a lot of promotions, major promotions, are just plowing through things that probably could wait. But I mean, life goes on and business goes on, so they have to provide something to us. But
I think that excuse, and I think it's an excuse that it's because it's clap crowds, it's half capacity. Listen, you don't know when fucking business is going to get back.
This is going to end. Yeah,
you need to be able to provide things, like to provide a product that it's going to make people want to be more excited when things are fully open again. To say they're saving stuff. You don't know what's going to happen a year from now. You don't know who's going to get injured. You don't know who's like going to fucking catch COVID or whatever. It's like, to me, I hate that when people say that, because I just think that's so short-sighted. And I think it gives these companies a way out to like book shit, and it's like, definitely. Japan has no excuse, really. Like, you're having all these shows in these big buildings. You can't afford to be like booking things badly. You need to like be on full cylinders. You need to be making newer stars. Like, it can't just be like, you have to make Ospreay, you have to make Shingo main event guys. Like Tanahashi and Naito can't carry this company anymore. And like Okada, Okada's kind of like not fun. I've like pretty much every major match Okada has had this year, but at the same time, it's like, whether or not it's a work or not, like, he's got 2 slip discs. If it's true, right? Like, hey, hey, good on you for having that match with Shingo. That's a 5-star match in my opinion. But like, if that's, he can't be doing that, even like, like fucking Dontaku Sakura Genesis level matches. And like, I don't think he's doing singles matches for those shows. So, Okada's not something you can rely on for this year. Are they saving him for like when things are back to normal? I don't know. Like, we'll see. But do you know what I mean? It's like, to me, it's like the companies that plow forward, that just book things to like as if they were normal, are the ones that I enjoy the most. And I think that's Dragon Gate. I think that's Stardom, as 2 of the more prominent examples that I pay attention to. And I'm far more invested in like where the direction of those 2 companies are than I am in fucking, even though we didn't talk about them today, than I am in like fucking the 3 companies that I would traditionally, follow and talk about more, in Noah, All Japan, and New Japan.
I agree. And just to give a shout out to the Open the Voice Gate guys, Mike Spears and Case, like, if you need to hear audio of well-educated Dragon Gate fans, those are your guys at this point in time. They cover Dragon Gate like no one else can, and no one else does at this point. But yeah, they're great. But I agree with you. And I actually have, I normally parachute in for Stardom shows. Just if I hear something was really good, I'll tune in. But yeah, ever since that Budokan show, I've been pretty well motivated to catch more of their stuff.
Every championship has a storyline.
Yeah,
in that company,
for sure.
And they have a lot of fucking titles in that company.
Yeah, and it seems like every championship has a different like worked like house style. Like Dragon Gate, obviously, like their house style, like it. I think it lends itself to the COVID crowds, the clap crowds. I think it's exciting enough to stand up to, or it can overcome that hurdle. Same with Stardom. I just think, like, from what I hear about Milano Collection AT coming in and training the girls and having like their they have more of a regimented fitness routine going on, and they're taking training more seriously. And I just like you said, the stories are top notch. So it's like, I think maybe we should have covered those promotions today.
Well, maybe next time, but like,
yeah, for sure.
For sure. Like if you look at the top end of Stardom, like we'll focus on Stardom more right now before we wrap things up, is that, like look at the top stars. It's Julia, it's Mayu Iwatani, it's Tam Nakano. It's I think Konami's going to get up there. It's like they have like interesting factions, and everyone in the faction, in each faction, is doing something interesting, and like that's exciting. And I think you have so many interesting things you can do with like Mayu and Julia and Tam, like those three as like your top three people in the company, as your top women of the company. And like they all have like Mayu's the legend, and then Julia's was the Wonder of Stardom champion. Oh, I forgot Itami Hayashishita, who's the the red belt champion, the World of Stardom champion. Like there's interesting things you can do with all four of those, and then the people just beneath them. Like I'm hoping like there's a resurgence of Momo Watanabe. I think she's been grossly underutilized the last year. I think she can have an awesome match with anyone. She's probably the second or third best worker in the whole company. I think Mayu's probably the best worker in the company, but
sure.
But yeah, like there's a lot of promise there. If like you're wanting to get into like a solidly booked wrestling company, and you don't have like a bias against women's wrestling, watch Stardom. It's solid. It's like top to bottom. It's probably the company I think is the most enjoyable, like from start to finish, from the beginning of the card. It's like one of the few companies like I will try to watch everything on their show.
Yeah, it's well paced too. Like you don't have anything that's overextending or taking liberties with their time in the ring. Like it's pretty regimented with how the card layouts are for those promotions too, being Dragon Gate and Stardom. Like they know when to hit the red light and tell them to go home. And
yeah, they're not like, they're not conditioned to like have 30-minute quote unquote epics for their title matches or anything like that. Like
it's not necessary. And that I feel like a lot of these bigger promotions are kind of in the habit of like, oh, it's a big match, so it has to go 20 plus or sometimes even 30 plus. And it's like, dude, like give us something different sometimes. Like fans like to be surprised. So if you end a big title match in like 8 minutes or 12 minutes, I'm sure the general reaction from your fan base will be positive more often than not, like as opposed to these just long epics, if that's what you want to call them. They tend to like put me to sleep because you don't have to like everybody's kind of beating it with like a dead horse. I mean, it's like you have these long epics. It's like you don't need to do it.
No, because then they're not special anymore.
Yeah, exactly. And everybody tunes into the match, and the first 20 minutes don't matter, and you can actually honestly fast forward in most cases to the last 10 minutes and really not miss much. Like unless you got a Tanahashi who's working over somebody's knee or something like that. I mean, it's
or Shingo Takagi.
Yeah, or Shingo. Yeah, of course. I mean, the pace on a Shingo Takagi match will keep you invested the whole time. But yeah, no, I totally agree with you. Yeah, I think those promotions are really, really standouts this year and over in Japan.
All right. With that being said, let's wrap it up there. Joey, thank you so much for joining me on the first Post Puroresu bonus, Post Puroresu extra. I don't know what we're going to call this, just Post Puroresu, but we'll definitely have you on again in the future for the guest host spot on this. Maybe next month I'm going to get someone different to join me on here, but definitely the invitation is always open for you, Joey.
Well, thank you, WH. It's the pleasure's all mine. I have a ton of fun talking to you every time we schedule a show together, and the more shows, the merrier. I'd love to be back on, but I also just love to put your radio or your episodes on the weekend when I'm doing yard work or exercising or something, and just listen to you guys. The flames come out of your mouth with all the hate or
I hate is a beautiful thing.
I'm not complaining. It's but I love listening to your shows regardless of who the guest is. I think you're a great host, and I think the long and winding road has been a lot of fun, and the Post Puroresu, you and John are killing it. So even if you get a new guest that's not me, I will not be offended.
Thank you. I appreciate it. But definitely you're going to be back on the show in the near future. But where can people find you, even though you don't really, do much on social media? Where can people find you still?
Yeah. So I'm on Twitter at Joey_Bay. As WH can attest, most of my Twitter is pretty much just pro wrestling praise. I don't like to throw too much hate out there into the world. I just kind of leave that to stay in my brain and harvest. But you can follow me there, and I'd love to talk to anybody about wrestling on there. And then I'm also on Instagram at Bowie_J. So I switched the first letters around because Joey Bay was already taken. But yeah,
it's mainly about your cats, though.
Yeah, that's about my cats, and just unless I go to a wrestling show, I'm not really posting much about wrestling anymore over there. Every once in a while, I'll throw something funny up there on an Instagram story. But yeah, my wrestling talk is primarily on Twitter.
Same with me. I don't really talk about wrestling on my Instagram or on my Facebook or anything like that. It's just my Twitter's basically my fucking wrestling ranting and my spewing of toxicity and hatred. It's good stuff. And here too, when I'm not doing this show, but you can find me at Twitter at WHPark9. That's the number 9. And of course I'll be back next month with John Pollock at the beginning of the month. And then 2 weeks later with a different guest host to talk about whatever else that John and I don't cover and whatever happens following the show that John and I do. And of course, next month, we're going to have a new long and winding Royal Road. Check out the episode I just did with Brandon Thurston, where he doesn't talk about the business side of things. We actually talk about the in-ring product of a match, of a tag match between the Holy Demon Army against Mitsuharu Misawa and Jun Akiyama. Really fun show. Brandon's great on that show.
Is that the 94, or was it 94, 95 classic?
No, that's the finals for the tag league. I think. Oh fuck, I can't remember. My memory's shed.
Yeah, I'm thinking of like the 6/13 95 or 94, whichever one. Every year it gets retweeted, and everybody's like, "This is the best match that's ever happened."
That's the Misawa Kobashi match. This is Akiyama and Misawa.
Oh, okay. I got you.
It's a real world tag league final. Like that's just as equally a great tag team match. See, if you haven't seen it, Joey, I really recommend it. You should then listen to the episode I do with Brandon about it.
Of course.
Yes. Okay. But until then, thanks to everyone who's been listening to all the content I'm doing, including the Patreon show, reviewing the MCU shows on Disney Plus. It was called the WandaVision when we were covering WandaVision. Now we're reviewing the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but we're going to be reviewing every Marvel Disney Plus show. So we had to come up with an umbrella title. So it's going to be it's the show called MCU Later, L8, the number 8, later. So there you go. Check it out. We just did our first episode last week, me and Wei Ting, and then the new episode is going to be dropping this Saturday. After I get up at 6 tomorrow morning, actually, to watch the Falcon and the Winter Soldier tomorrow. So John Cena, if you're listening, doesn't fucking spoil it for me on the fucking DMs. Motherfucker. I don't spoil anything for you, WH. Oh, did you see what happened in the New Japan Cup final? Motherfucker. I know I didn't, John, because you fucking spoiled it for me. Anyways, he's going to laugh at this, by the way. Okay, I don't have heat with John Cena. But anyways, until then, check that out. MCU later on the Patreon. You gotta get on the patronage for that show if you want to hear me talk about the Marvel Universe instead of like wrestling. Though there's some wrestling talk in there. But anyways, I'm just babbling. Joey. Thank you for, on behalf of Joey, to all the listeners, thanks for checking us out here today. And we'll talk to you next time. Until then, goodbye.